welcome back, and today's video is going to be, it's going to be a lot shorter than my usual ones. So, for today's, I'm going to do a restaurant horror story, because those are very interesting. Stuff you wouldn't expect, in my opinion anyway. I was late for work that night because of traffic. I usually work the closing shift at Burger King. I worked the night shift as it was less chaotic and had less Karens, and things usually simmered down about then. As I pull into the parking lot, I notice a man sitting in his car looking through his wallet, a fedora on his head, and a suit. I walked in to greet my manager, who was just ready to clock out. "You're a few minutes late. I'll cut you some slack this time. But when things start to cluster, you gotta pick up the pace on getting here." "Yes, understood," I said. They then nodded in my direction. I put on my apron and tied it together, then clocked in quickly. I stood at the register waiting for customers to come in. An elderly man came in, ordering a small batch of fries before sitting at the table. One of my coworkers set in to work on the order while I waited for anyone to come in. Just then, a tired-looking teen walked in and asked for a large Sprite and 2 burgers. I punched in their order and handed them a cup for the machines. They thanked me and paid and walked over to the machine. I silently waited for any other customers to walk in. A few minutes went by until a man with scraggly gray hair walked in. He looked tired, like he hadn't slept in days. "Hello, welcome to Burger King. What can I get you today?" I say politely with a warm smile. The man said he wanted a Whopper and a large fry. "Will that be all?" I asked, despite that being pretty much a stupid question. He nodded anyway, and I told him his total. He pulled out a 20, and I gave him back his change. The man gave a smile, but it seemed off. I brushed it off. I didn't get paid enough to care about these weird things. I then go back to asking if the order was ready before helping my coworkers bag the food. Walked over to the old man while a coworker of mine walked over to the teen with his order. "Here you go, sir," I say with a warm smile. The man nodded and stared a few seconds longer than I was comfortable with. I just decided to move it to the counter so I could pretend to be busy for the next few minutes to help distract myself. Some time went by, and most of the usual late 9 customers left by now. The man remained, though, his food barely touched. I began wiping down the counter as closing time was nearing. "Excuse me, sir, we're closing in a few minutes, so if you could leave or eat a little faster, I would appreciate it greatly," I say as politely as I can. The man looked over at me, staring quietly, making me scratch my head in confusion when he didn't move an inch. I grabbed the spray and rag and began cleaning the other empty tables. The whole time, I felt like I was being stared at. A few minutes went by, and it was only his table left. "Okay, sir, here's just your last warning. We're all currently cleaning up because it's closing time," I say a little more firmly. The man finally stood up and walked out of the store without a word. His half-eaten food was left on the table. I sighed as I started cleaning the table, throwing his food away. I clocked out and grabbed my stuff, walked out the building, and went to my car. I fumbled with my keys for a few seconds before turning my head to notice the man just staring. I unlocked my car door and hurriedly got in, not appreciating being stared at. I start my car and drive home to ponder about tonight. On my next shift, the Shaggy Man arrived at the same time he did the last. Began to distract myself with other people. The man walked over to the counter after sitting at a table for a few minutes. "Hi, what can I get you for today?" I asked kindly. Just then, the man pulled out a gun. "I want all the money in the register. No funny business at all," he said. His face calm and collected. I stared, completely stunned. "Sir, they empty the registers right about in the afternoon. There isn't much I can promise," I say as calm as possible, with my hands raised. That's when I noticed one of my coworkers with a fire extinguisher. I decided to keep the visibly unstable man talking and distracted. So, what do you get out of this, sir? Satisfaction of crushing a business that barely gets by? You know how this town is. The man's face remained serious. He cocks his gun, and I flinch before he's hit over the head. I sigh in relief before dialing the police. Later that day, we then talked to our manager about what happened.